Now that the dough's out of the tray, we're ready for step number 2, and that's forming the edge in the dough patty. But the first thing I need to do before I do that is I need to take my cover tray and recover that dough because I don't want the rest of the dough drying out. Now, as I go to set the edge into that dough, what I want to do first is I want to teach you a hand position that will help you form the edge correctly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to point my fingers like guns. I'll cross them over, making sure my thumbs and fingers are on top, and then I'll open my fingers out. So essentially I'm only using these 6 fingers here to make the pizza. And the reason for that is this. If I'm trying to set or form an edge in the pizza and keep it round, I don't want to just randomly put my fingers down in there because that'll create a really irregular shape. Instead, by forming my fingers in this position that I showed you already, as I press into the cornmeal, you can see it forms a nice round arc, which will help us keep a nice round edge on that pizza. I don't want this dough to stick to my hand, and I don't want it to stick to the table. I want it so it slides smoothly and evenly. So I'm going to cover it with cornmeal, and I'm going to keep a fair amount of cornmeal under the dough patty as I begin working. You'll notice that this is the what we call the soft side of the dough, and that's the side that we want to end up on the screen. Whether or not you work on the skin side, the side that was up in the tray, or the soft side, the side that was down in the tray, doesn't matter. What does matter is that you form a pencil-thin edge. So I have my hands in the position, and I'm going to begin at 12 o'clock. Imagining this was a clock, 3, 6, 9, and this is 12. So coming to 12 o'clock, I'm going to bring my fingers right to the edge and then press down. And what should happen is I begin to define the edge, and again, my goal is pencil thickness. So I want to make sure my edge is no thicker than the width of a pencil. So I press down at 12, turn until about 2, go back to 12, press down, and continue that motion all the way around the dough patty until the edge is completely formed. And there you have it. I'll double check once again. This is a simple visual aid, but you want to use your eyes. Learn to make sure your eyes can see pencil thin all the way around the pizza. Let me show you what not to do. A mistake a lot of rookie pizza makers make is instead of keeping their thumbs up and on top like I showed you, they get lazy. Lazy thumbs, drop them to the bottom where they can damage the center of the dough. And the tendency is also to leave an edge that's too big. So watch what happens here. I press my way around with my thumbs under. I can't see what they're doing to the dough. I'm leaving an edge that's too big, which will become huge coming out of the oven. Look what's happened here. I've damaged the center of the dough, which once I stretch it will create a thin center. And a thin center is the worst thing you can do to a pizza. Another common mistake during the edging process is pressing too hard to the table. I'll demonstrate that for you here. If I press too hard to the table, number one, it's going to stick to my hands and I won't get as smooth a technique. But the other thing is, it's going to create a thin spot in the dough. You can see it here beginning to break away, and we don't want that to happen.